Namaste, bhaiyo behno. Good afternoon, friends from all around the world. मैं आपको मिलने के लिए बहुत शुक्रवार. प्लीज आप वोट जरूर करिएगा आज, ठीक है? आप बहुत दूर से आए हैं, वोटिंग आपको जरूर करनी है, ठीक पार्टी के लिए. ये कोई फेक कॉन्फ्रेंस नहीं है. Sorry, I mean it's not fake news. This is a real event. Please by 5 o'clock go ahead and vote for the best new hotel of the year. Simple. You don't have to choose, you have to just choose the best hotel of the year. There are different awards. We really hope you will make a vote. I had promised Achhe Din, right? I had promised Achhe Din with Hotelivate, and I want you to be sure that the next 2 days are really good. Therefore, to share with you what we have achieved, let me share with you what we have in store for you next 2 days. First of all, please do download this app. This is an amazing app, actually. It allows you to connect with your constituency. It allows you to connect with people. It allows you to make friends. It allows you to reach out to your parties. It allows you to meet other people who are attending this conference. In fact, you can do something unique which even the political parties don't offer you, other political parties don't offer you, which is that you can vote for the best person or the best speaker and rate them individually. This is something that we hope that our party will do well. You know, you would also notice a few changes to this year's event. We've got a few more vendors than we typically get. You know, these vendors are part of my new vote bank. In fact, actually, these are my new sponsors that I can take to my bank. You know, that's why they're here. So, many of my past partners or supporters have kind of gone away. They've either fled to other countries, or they're no longer in India, or unfortunately or fortunately, they've been bought out by other brands and therefore they don't exist as a brand. So we had to kind of make this adjustment. You know, ye party mein to hota hi rehta hai. You have to make adjustments in politics. You have to be accommodating. So we have also been a little accommodating by allowing these vendors to come on board. Tomorrow, we have some very interesting sessions. We have the C-suite, which is leaders panel. We have a session on the idea factory, which is something new. We have got some new speakers who have come in who will speak on a few subjects, which you might find interesting. And then we have the design confab, which is the Jackpot design confab, which is 2 hours on architects and designers. On a more serious note, we also have 2 investment opportunities that are going to be briefly discussed today. One is with the Ministry of Indonesia, which is trying to recreate 10 new Balis, and they've been marketing a lot. I actually find it that the Ministry of Indonesia has been more proactive at our India conference than some of the state governments to come and market themselves. So it's quite interesting to see that the Ministry of Indonesia is actually going out, reaching people, and are very, very keen to get investors. People want to lease, people want to buy, people want to build. So do get a chance, do meet up with some of them. We also have GMR, who is now building the airport in North Goa, in Mopa. And they are putting together a mini aero city, if I may call it, at the airport. And they have a lot of opportunities for investment. So those of you who wanted to be in Goa and missed the boat in the past few years, this is your opportunity to go out there and put something up. We also kind of create, I wish I could call it my manifesto, but I think let's, forget the politics. Let's talk about more serious stuff. We just came out with this report yesterday called the Ultimate Indian Travel and Hospitality Report. I know we sent it out. We sent it out by social media yesterday. We've sent it out to the registered delegates. If you haven't had a chance to go through it, I strongly recommend do it. We've put a lot of effort into it by my team. We cover everything from travel, tourism, and more importantly, the size of the market. And I'll talk a little bit about it. in a bit as well. So you'll get a flavor of what we're talking about. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, this is our 15th edition of HICSA. And I am really grateful to the following 8 people who have made it to every single HICSA since we've been there. And I'm very happy they're at the 15th event as well. So, strong, I see some of the people in the audience, so it's really a great honor to having all of you here. The other slide I wanted to put up, 15 years, is these wonderful and illustrious gentlemen, right? I mean, this is the ultimate list of people that hoteliers that we've got, right from Mr. P.R.S. Oberoi to Captain Nair, to Sharma, Mr. Katru, Mr. Kekar. And today we'll be honoring Raymond Bixon, who has been instrumental in our success. And Raymond will be joining us shortly. So it's great. Before I go on, I want to kind of take you down a small memory lane. We have created a very small video on the 15 years of HICSA. Thank you. And many of the people in this room, we hopefully try to get many of you out there. So we have an amazing lineup of speakers today. In many ways, it doesn't get bigger than this. We have Sebastian Bazin, and for those of you who've never heard, he's the chairman and CEO of Accor, probably one of the most amazing and electrifying CEOs in the hotel space. And so we have him. We have Mr. Amitabh Kant, who's going to be following immediately after me. And then, of course, if you have a Tata on stage, then it doesn't get any bigger, right? So later on this afternoon, Mr. Ratan Tata will be joining us, and it's an absolute honor to have him with us and then to have Raymond interview him. And then, of course, I get the opportunity to interview Raymond before the Lifetime Achievement Award. So that's where we are. Let's see. So who do we have in the audience? Just wanted to kind of put that out there. We have really done well this year. So either the industry is coming back, but our numbers went up by over 100. We haven't seen this kind of a jump. A lot of new owners. I can tell you as Hotelivate, this past year was one of our busiest years. We grew revenues by 25 to 30%, more feasibility studies than we've ever done, and obviously that's also being reflected by the number of owners who are in the audience with us. More female participation. Historically, we get 18, 19%, so slightly more out there. Domestic, international continues to attract people from all over the region. So hotel brands still continue to make up the large portion of people who are in the room. Owners, development companies is 25%. Consultants, a lot of them, probably half of them is my team from Hotelivate. Product companies, this is something we've started this year, so they're new to the thing. Architect, design firms, media, even bank and PE firms have grown, with 570 people to have 25 to 30 people reflecting the bank and PE sector is a great achievement as far as we are concerned. And then, of course, hotel operations, and wherever you go, you'll always have lawyers. So we have our own bench strength of lawyers in the room as well. 13 countries represented. Again, Singapore, as always, brings in the most because that's where most of the hotel regional brands are. But I like to put up these 4 slides because it kind of sets the pace for who's in the audience, and we must know who's in the audience so that we can address, the questions and subject that comes up. So finally, mine is bigger than yours, and I know it brings out a lot of smiles and so forth, but over the last many years, I have come across development heads, I've come across owners, I've come across CEOs, and everyone is infatuated by this thing big, I have this or I have the biggest thing, and we thought let's put all of it together and let's talk a little bit about what is big and how big is it really. So of course, if you're a hotel company and you're looking at it by rooms, it's always, for now it's Marriott, followed by Hilton and IHG, and then the whole line of hotel companies that are out there. If it is by properties, you can claim to be Wyndham. Everyone has their own thing, right? And if you're sitting in India and you're not one of the big guys, you could always claim to be greener. You could always claim to be more profitable. You could always claim to have the best service. So you could always claim to be the biggest domestic player. So there's so many things that you can play with. It's, I guess, in many ways a marketing tool. But when you look at it by properties, now you suddenly have a new bunch of people, right? Which will say, wait a minute, what about Booking.com? What about Airbnb? What about Oyo? Right? These are all new age hotel companies, new companies, because if you look at it probably by property, they're probably biggest. Oyo, I think what Oyo has achieved in the last 5 years, like it, not like it, is absolutely amazing. And we as Indians should be very proud of what they have done. But it's remarkable how their storyline is changing every month or every few months. It's not even every year, right? So that's where if we are looking at it from a property point of view. Of course, if you're looking at it and you want to be the biggest in terms of hotel brands, many of us would have thought it would have been Marriott, which it was last year, but Sebastian and team have done such a fantastic job that today it's Accor that actually has the largest number of brands and not Marriott. Marriott comes in number 2 at 30. So again, biggest sometimes is good, but biggest loyalty program. Right now, again, it's Marriott after they combined Ritz-Carlton, Marriott, and Starwood together. And of course, then you have IHG and a few others that follow. Biggest hotel company by market cap. So like I said, Marriott right now is riding a horse and it's got everything going for it. You know, and you'll just see why I'm bringing out this whole big story, because I think, you know, you could have the biggest OTA. You know, Make My Trip would say we're the biggest OTA in India, homegrown, and others will say we're, you know, Clear Trip says that for China. So I think, again, I think I've made my point. But again, if you're Donald Trump, then we are in a completely different space, right? If you're Donald Trump, then apart from having very big hands, because he's said it himself and you can't say no to him, you also have a very big ego. And I find that there are a lot of people in this industry in India, whether it's owners, whether it is development people, or whether it's hotel CEOs, who also have big egos. Now, I can't talk too much about it. This is the season for politics. I need everyone's vote, so I'm not going to pick on individual CEOs. Everyone knows who's out there and what they're doing. So, you know, I think this is where I stop talking. But seriously, why are we so infatuated with everything big? Why can't we, for a change, talk about bottoms? Sorry, I don't mean bottoms, I mean bottom lines, right? So let's get everything clear. We're talking about bottom lines and not bottoms. But we talk about big things. Hotel brands come and make you promises. They make you brand standards. They offer you all kinds of things. But no one comes and talks to you about your bottoms or bottom lines, right? Why would we not want to know about our bottom line? I've never heard a brand come and say, we are the biggest when it comes to giving you the biggest bottom lines, right? I have people in this room we are negotiating management contracts for. All they want is a bigger bottom line and some sort of a guarantee for that biggest bottom line. But we never get that. I would love to have one of these brands, be it Marriott, Hyatt, Hilton, Taj, ITC, say, you know what, we will deliver the biggest bottom lines, or maybe we will not be there as your partner. Because that's what this audience wants. Am I right? So we never get to hear about that. Maybe the egos come in the way, maybe something else comes. Maybe next year some of them will not sponsor, but that's what we really want as owners. So that's why I wanted to talk that mine is bigger than yours. And you know, while hotel owners are struggling with debt service and brand standards and competition, unless, of course, you are looking for that return on ego, in which case you don't care about your bottoms, you're really concerned with your ego, you're fine. But I would imagine that most owners want an ROI and not an ROE. And for that return on investments, we should be asking for bigger bottom lines and nothing else. So that was my first part of my presentation. The second part of my presentation is, of course, I too am a consultant. I'm a big consultant. No, maybe I'm a popular consultant. You know, I've left the big consulting firm, started my own. You know, so mine is bigger than yours. And part two. So I decided to do this big report. I should also get some bragging rights to doing something big. So we came up with this, the ultimate Indian travel and hospital report, and I thought I'll share with you a few synopses of that report. I'm sure it's a long read. It's not something you can go through in a few minutes. It will take you at half an hour, 1 hour. A great read to take on a flight if you're flying, because you can download it and read it on the plane. And we thought we'll cover a few things. So one of the first things we wanted to cover was the size of the market. Back in 1997, when I first came into India and I did the first Trends and Opportunity report, we had 18,300 some odd branded hotel rooms in the country. And over the years, we did that report for 20 years, and recently as Hotelivate's Trends and Opportunity report, that number has gone to around 136,000 branded hotel rooms. By the way, that 136,000 rooms is all that the industry keeps talking about. But we decided, let's really look at how big is that industry. So if you look at the next slide, the branded traditional hotel room that we've been talking about, that 136,000 rooms, is currently only 5% of the accommodation inventory in the market, right? And there's a problem with that. We have different agencies in the country saying that why don't we get something from the government? The government doesn't want to listen to us because that's not the real industry. That's 5% of the industry. In this room, unfortunately or fortunately, of course, I have Oyo here and I have a few others here, but we represent, even with the Oyos, we represent less than 13% of the inventory in the country. And then we expect the government to be doing things for us. Why can't we put together something? And the idea behind this report was to put something together which tells the industry how big are we, how many people are we employing, how much taxes are we potentially paying? Because the only thing that a politician will look at is how much jobs you're generating and how much taxes you're paying. You keep going back to the government and saying we want 28% to be reduced to 18% or something to be reduced, it's not going to happen. You have to become a voice, and we thought to whatever small extent, perhaps this report will help you get there. But it's an amazing number. We have 2.72 million rooms in the market. How is this going to grow in the next 5 years? It's going to grow from 2.72 to 3.33 in the next 5 years. We looked at how many people does it employ. So it employs 2.4 million. So that is something that the government would want to know, because that's a decent number for the government to do, particularly right now with the job market being perceptibly much weaker. We paid 6,700 round about there, taxes and GST, not for the full year, but for 9 months. And so if you, that can only grow. And you know, this 2.4 million is a low number, because if you talk to WTTC, that number is much, much higher. But that also then includes your airline business. It also includes people who are hired at the airports. It also includes the travel agents and so forth. So that number is 20 to 30 million, right? And for lack of time, we weren't able to capture that, but our next phase would be to try and capture some of that. And the idea is to give it to people like Amitabh Kant, who's coming up next, and say, Amitabh, we really need the government to give us more focus. Let's do more that we can. So where does India really stand? I mean, other than this, we also looked at where do we stand? We're 40th in the world rankings. Certain things that go well for us is obviously listed out there. And then there are certain things that perhaps don't do well for us. You know, pollution, safety, sustainability, safety, security, just basic hygiene, just cleanliness around certain tourist spots, right? These are things that we can work on and we need to continue to work on. We wanted to also share what kind of inbound. So we get around 10 million people last year, international, arriving in. If you add the NRIs, it actually goes up to 15.5, right? And where are they coming from, right? And why are they coming? Leisure, business, but also the largest segment is after leisure is really visiting friends and family. So how many of you in this room know where Haridaspur and Gede Rail is? Is there anyone in this room who knows where that is? I don't see a single hand. No one knows where Haridaspur is, and that's the third highest arrival in India. No one knows where Gede Rail is, which is in the 10th in India. Isn't that a shame that in an audience of whatever, 300 people in the room today, no one knows where our third highest arrival is and where the 10th and I have to say, I didn't know either. That is where we get currently nearly 14%. These are the arrivals that are coming in from Bangladesh. Because if you look at it, the connectivity to Dhaka from Delhi is horrible. We have one flight or two flights and they don't fly half of the time. In any case, half the airlines aren't flying right now. So we don't know that, and we don't know where people are coming and going from. So there's some interesting tidbits in this report. When you go through it, you'll find a lot of surprises, but we kind of wanted to put it out there. Where are they going to? They're going to these 5 states: Maharashtra, Tamil Nadu, Uttar Pradesh, Delhi, Rajasthan. Right? We also looked at domestic tourism. 1.65 billion people are traveled in 2017. And it's growing, it grew at a small 2.3, but 2.3 on a base of 1.65 billion is a massive number. I don't know why we focus so much on international tourism when you have got this kind of a backyard. And these are the top 10 states that they're visiting. And they're, of course, largely visiting for religious purposes, particularly in the South Indian location. Outbound travel, growing at 24 million last year in 2017, growing at near double digits at 9.5% year after year. Again, these are some destinations that they're flying, and I'm grateful to CAPA for being able to share a lot of the data with us for this report. Why they're traveling? Leisure, business, that's a nice breakup. A large part of it is still visiting friends and family in the region. So one of the other things we looked at was how many people are traveling within India, right? So travel in India this year has gone up to 138 million. The maximum travel happens amongst the southernmost cities. So there are more people traveling in southern India than they're traveling in North India. The other thing we looked at was, and I think the next table shows, is which are the sectors people are traveling. Isn't this important information when you do your hotel budgeting exercises to know where are people coming from? If I am based in a particular market and there are more people coming from a particular city, should we not be marketing ourselves in those cities before they come there? So we've kind of put this data out there. So of course, Delhi, Bombay is the most important sector at 5.73. So again, this report shares with you where people are traveling and how they're traveling. We also have got information on rail travel. Not only this, but as you will open the report, the top 10 rail routes, there are a lot of other small information which is out there. But we had 6.5 billion travelers on Indian railways. That's the global population. We're very fortunate that we have the global population traveling on Indian railways year after year. And again, kudos to the railways for doing such a good job. We're very good at criticizing, but look at the volumes that they're carrying. It's amazing. I can bet you many countries will just fail at the first step. So we have to give them credit. We have to, and it's not a BJP Congress or anything. This is Indian Railways for the last 50, 70 years. And I think they've done an amazing job. We also looked at bus transportation in this report. Again, we don't track it, but bus transportation in southern India is far more prevalent than it is in northern India. And again, we should know that. Particularly if you are in that independent segment, budget segment, this is your market. It's not people coming from airlines, it's people coming on buses. You need to know that again. So I think the report brings together a lot of things that we ourselves didn't know, and I wanted to start putting it together. We wanted to make sure that we understand that we're a far bigger market, and historically we've only looked at 5% of the market, and now is the time to try and understand that there's a much larger market than there really was. We looked at hotel bookings in India, right? I love this chart. We have 560 million internet users in India, which is 1.5 times of what you have in the US, but we only have 12% penetration compared to 46% in the US. If I was make my trip with Deep, and he's not here yet, but you're going to make a lot more money going forward because the penetration can only go higher. And therefore, I think it becomes important how we deal with social media. And I can tell you, for those of you who've known me and my company, we at Hotelivate are using social media a lot more. If any of you think we are not reaching out to you, you can let us know. We'll try and do even better. Travel agencies, what are their top markets, right? I mean, I think it's important. If you have hotels in Bangalore and you're not doing enough with the OTAs, then you can actually go back and start talking to them. But these are their top 10 markets that we're currently tracking. And of course, this recent discussion on, what hotels and, OTAs. So we just put a few things out there, right? We need to focus more on customer loyalty than on the customer acquisition. You need to embrace technology a lot more. I find that people are not really doing that. Just improve the direct booking process. Even today, I find it more difficult to go to a hotel website to book rather than go to a booking.com or MMT or some of these people. And of course, try to collaborate, then compete, right? And you know what? No one does that better than no one has proven that better than what Ritesh has done in the last 48 hours, right? Oyo and Airbnb were supposed to be competition to each other in whichever way. Guess what? They've collaborated, they're going to be selling on each other's website, they're going to be growing faster than anyone else, and I think they're moving in a direction that maybe some of us are not moving or thinking about. Finally, we thought we'll just close with some recommendations to the government. We're asking the government to look at 5 things, right? Because you can't ask the government to look at 20 things, nothing will happen. But we need to get airlines to bring more wide-body aircraft, so allow airlines to have more wide-body aircrafts. Because as a result, the airlines that are flying out of India are small-body, they can only go 2 to 3 hours. So therefore, Dubai, Bangkok, Singapore are becoming hubs. Why can't we have Delhi become a hub? Why can't we have Bangalore become a hub? Why can't we have Hyderabad become a hub? Right? We'll have a lot more travel coming in. And I think you need the wide bodies. Simplify the e-visa process. I think they've done a great job, but it needs to be simplified. There is an Incredible India 2.0 campaign that has been ready. It just needs to be kind of signed off on, and they need to start marketing it. They haven't appointed a PR agency, and that's something we're hoping that when the new government comes out, day one, someone can sign off. They don't have to think about it. The budgets are out there. Let's get on with it. Skill development, I think that's a known thing. It's a known devil that finding the right talent has always been challenging. So let's continue to focus on that. And then finally, cleanliness and safety. So I think these are some of the recommendations, but I have only one wish. Vote kar dijiyega 5 baje ke pehle. Thank you so much.